As we reported today, Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell will now be working with other local leaders, part of a control group in the effort to reopen our region. Joining us to talk more about what that role entails and how COVID-19 continues to impact us is Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell. Sir, thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
First off, I want to ask, what's the goal of this new control group that the Lieutenant Governor set up, and what will be your role in it?
Well, the role of the control group, as the governor stated at the end of his press conference, will be our group that will monitor those dials, if you will, as we begin this reopening and our decisions on, as I understand it, what we need to do to adjust the flow, if you will, or what we're going to do with the pause order as it begins, and how we'll control those upticks or increases of the cases as they come about. The Lieutenant Governor, has been very open. I've had several conversations with her. She understands our circumstances here in Western New York, especially Chautauqua County. So she's well aware, and she's really, really good to work with, and very good common sense approach to opening up Western New York as we are able to, hopefully by the end of the week.
Now, many people here in our county say that they're ready now to reopen, some even protesting in Jamestown. But there are concerned that our eligibility could be impacted because of the Buffalo area and the fact that we're grouped in with them. Is that a concern that you have? And if so, is there a way that we can adjust anything?
Well, I've spoken to the Lieutenant Governor several times, and she knows our situation here in Chautauqua County, but more so the facts and the data. And our numbers are low. The two areas where we are deficient as a region, we have met here in Chautauqua County. And I think the uniqueness of 24 counties that have opened in Pennsylvania and 13 more to join them on Friday. And I've echoed those same statements with the Lieutenant Governor, and yesterday on our phone call that, with bordering Pennsylvania on two sides, our residents will be traveling across that border into Pennsylvania to stretch their legs, if you will, and, do the things that they're not able to do here in Chautauqua County. So she is aware of that, and she's understanding of that. As far as us to break free from that, I don't know if that will be possible, but I have urged us to be looked at a little bit differently based on our numbers and our current situation. And also, if you look at Dr. Yearley's front page of the Post-Journal on Friday, as the Director of Emergency Medicine with UPMC, he is very confident that we can open. And we have to remember the mitigation was to flatten the curve so our health services and our health care industry can maintain any sort of inflow or influx. So he feels very confident in our local hospitals, although they may be in a rural part of Pennsylvania, New York State. They are linked to Pennsylvania hospitals that are much larger, Allegheny Health Network with Westfield and UPMC with UPMC Chautauqua. So Brooks Hospital, a link with Kaleida, I think is going to help us as well. So I feel confident our healthcare industry has not been overburdened with this. And those are the metrics they're looking for as we begin to reopen.
Now, as for that control group, has there been any discussions within it yet?
Yes, we had a meeting yesterday, a Zoom meeting, and there'll be one. They'll be set up daily at 4 p.m., and that group will meet and discuss. I spoke with Congressman Reed this morning and had a very lengthy conversation with him as to, the regional approach that he has, also an informal with the three regions, Finger Lakes, Western New York, and the Southern Tier. So, we're all working together. There's great collaboration, and we're all looking for the same thing, is to do this in a very safe and responsible manner as we open up New York State.
Do you have any ideas that you plan to bring to the table to try to help inform maybe some of those in Buffalo, kind of the significance of what has been happening here in Chautauqua County?
Well, we have, and I spoke yesterday that, we are a unique area. Our numbers have been relatively low. And if you look, Warren County's numbers have been low, and Erie County, the eastern portions of that county that border Chautauqua County, until last week, the 2nd Battalion had not had a positive case of COVID-19, and that's the battalion that neighbors Erie County to the east. So I think if you look at the low prevalence of those areas altogether, again, in the southern part of our county, it is very indicative that our numbers have been low. We have not had active cases in quite some time. In the 3 battalions of Chautauqua County, actually, excuse me, the 2 southernmost, the 3rd and 4th battalions. So I think that's important. And I bring those numbers to the table when we discuss the reopening, that, looking at, we border Pennsylvania, and as long as those numbers stay where they are, we'll be successful. But that isn't without a possibility, and we've understood that. And my COVID-19 response team and our medical directors, 3 of them, along with our public health director, have said we could potentially see an increase, but the position is our hospitals and healthcare system will be able to maintain and easily handle any sort of increases that we've had.
Now, it seems like for at least yesterday, there were no new cases reported here locally. Some call this a good step. Do you agree with that? And do you think that how do you interpret this data, which seems to change quite often?
Well, it changes quite often. You have to look at it, in a variety of ways. And one of them is, are we going to see 1 or 2 cases a day? We might see that for the next 2 to 3 months. We're not sure. We haven't had that spike in cases where we've had 5 cases one day, 10 cases the next day, another 10 the following. We've maintained relatively low numbers, and we haven't seen those drastic increases that you've seen in Erie County and other places across the state. So I think, having said that, we will see cases here and there, but we have to remind everybody that even if you see a case, does not mean those are steps backwards. A lot of our cases are not hospitalized. If we look at the information as provided, we have not had a hospitalization between April 8th and April 27th. So that's pretty significant when you look at the number of positive cases. And we have not had those cases in an ICU, on ventilators, and it's those types of situations. So our hospitalizations have been relatively minor. They have been admitted, but again, it's not the high ICU intensive advanced life support services that are required as you would in other places.
Now, when we look at this COVID-19 case map, which is a great tool provided in most counties and very descriptive here in Chautauqua County, it seems like the most concentrated cases are in the area that's closest to Dunkirk, and includes many municipalities besides Dunkirk there for sure. Is there a reason why those cases are there? And do you think that has a correlation to, traffic coming on the 90, connecting other areas of our region?
I don't necessarily know as if it's, traffic going from 90 into Erie, but I know that a lot of residents in the northeastern portion of Chautauqua County do a lot of business in New York or in Erie County, and they either work there, or it's easier for them to, do their grocery shopping in Erie County as opposed to coming into Chautauqua County or driving south into Chautauqua County. So when you look at that and their prevalence of commuting back and forth with Erie County, that's why we could see that increase in cases in the north. But again, it's unique. Not everyone is somebody that's been in and out of Erie County. We've had people that have traveled elsewhere in New York State during this time period as well. So we take all that into consideration as we look at that. But, some would say, well, that's a reason we should stay closed or not open before Erie County, because those residents would flock to Chautauqua County, potentially, infect the county. Those numbers, that's a hypothetical. We haven't seen that proven, but, it is unique. We have a very small border with Erie County. If you look at Cattaraugus County, a much larger geographic border with them, and we do not see those high numbers in Cattaraugus County. So again, why the northeastern part of our county is so high, we're still looking at that. But again, it's a unique observation as we've been monitoring that all along.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, the data is so new, and this is so new that, as you mentioned, it changes a lot. I want to shift gears a little bit. Your office announced this morning that tomorrow a military flyover will be visiting our area. What's the significance of having this here, and how did this come about?
Well, yeah, I'm getting chills just sitting here talking about it. It's really interesting. One of the Mr. Gerasi is a technology teacher from Fredonia Central School, and he reached out to my office and asked if we could make a phone call. Well, uh, the manner was a little challenging at first, but as I watched the commercial or news feed from WGRZ Channel 2, I noticed in the upper corner the F-35s were coming out of Vermont, and a good friend of mine was the former Air Wing commander for the Vermont Air National Guard, the Green Mountain Boys. So I reached out to him and asked what he could do as far as, to get something for us down here. He made some contacts, and we were confirmed over the weekend that between 12:15 and 12:30, the F-35s will break from their formation, travel through Chautauqua County. So I advise everybody in the northern part of Chautauqua County to look into the skies tomorrow between 12:15 and 12:30. And then tomorrow between that same time, they will be flying north to south over Chautauqua Lake. So really significant when you look at the availability of a training exercise and the military understanding to divert to pay tribute to our healthcare workers, first responders, and I've also asked to pay tribute to our high school seniors who've had their senior year cut short. So a little tribute to everybody here in Chautauqua County. So I urge and I hope we get a good weather forecast for tomorrow between 12:15 and 12:30. But I ask everybody to look over the skies of Chautauqua County and especially Chautauqua Lake and look at the tribute that will be given to us by the Green Mountain Boys and their fighter jets.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully we can hold Dakota to that and he can provide one for us. We've had a lot of people this morning ask us, what do you think the best place to watch the flyover will be? I know you said they'll be flying across the Chautauqua Lake north to south. Do you have any insider info that you could share?
No, I wish I did. I might, if I were to, it would probably be very last minute. But obviously, we want to remind people: do not stop on the Chautauqua Lake Bridge, 86. Please do not stop and watch from that point. It's still a main thoroughfare. It's an interstate. Do not watch it from the bridge. But anywhere along those areas where you would have a good vantage point of the lake, there are some higher elevations that would get a good view from the lake. So anywhere where you might be able to get a good view of Chautauqua Lake. I think that would be a good place to watch. I would guess that whenever organizations or fighter groups like this are able to do something, they usually make it worth their while and worthwhile for those who are watching. I know the same group did a flyover at a Bills game we were at a couple years ago, and it was nothing short of breathtaking when you look. And these will be the F-35 stealth fighters, which are the newest arsenal in U.S. military. So I think it'll probably be one of the first times I'll be flying over Chautauqua County. So it's really unique, the experience we'll have tomorrow. And any glimpse, I think, is going to be worthwhile. So I urge everybody, remember social distancing. And I think anywhere in Chautauqua Lake, we should be able to get a pretty good view.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait for it myself. I know I'll be stuck here doing the news at noon broadcast, but we're going to try to have some cameras out there and see if we can't capture it and bring it to people live here. Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell joining us today. Sir, thank you so much for your time and for joining us on the broadcast.
Thanks for having me.